Recorded at the WNDU 16 News Now studios, this is the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold Notre Dame football podcast. Here are your hosts, columnist Tom Noie, Notre Dame football beat writer Mike Berardino, and WNDU's Jackson Neill.
We begin this show with a big sigh because these are the perils of what we do. We're not working in the salt mine. We're not working 14-hour shifts. But every once in a while, you've got to make chicken salad out of chicken bleep. And this is one of those weeks, ladies and gentlemen, because somehow coming off an off week with 5 games left in the regular season, Notre Dame has won 5 in a row. They're 5-2, ranked number 12 in the country. We have to make this Boston College game seem like it's A, going to be competitive, and B, worth talking about on this pot of gold for the next hour. Boston College is just awful. Somebody on the beat, and I will not name them, but I was told on Monday before Marcus Freeman's press conference, and we were over at the Chivarelli Lounge having lunch at Notre Dame Stadium. Why are you talking about Boston College? I'm going to have to use the word. Boston College is...
Good Lord.
All right, well,
What does that do to our rating this week?
That's getting
We're now
marked,
dirty?
That's getting marked down.
Dirty show?
It's not getting marked down. But
It's donkey.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to use that on the podcast. So I used it.
Oh.
I have no idea where to go with this game. Boston College has lost 7 in a row. Their only win, Jackson Neill knew this when I asked him pre-show.
Oh, yeah. I do my research.
Who Boston College's only win is against, and it's not against Vince Lombardi's Fordham Rams, but it was Fordham. 66-10.
Good win.
Blocks of granite.
The 7 blocks of granite at Fordham.
That's why I just said blocks. I wasn't sure on how many.
See,
That's a lot of granite.
that is a lot of granite.
Apparently, they're still stuck in the granite.
They've lost to Michigan State, Stanford, California, at Pittsburgh, Clemson, UConn, and most recently at Louisville, 38-24. We'll start with this, a quick trivia question. How many players were ruled out for that Boston College game at Louisville on Saturday? Mike Berardino.
13.
Jackson.
I have the notes in front of me.
Oh, so you know.
I know. I look at the notes. You send them to us.
You do look at the notes. Boston College.
Somebody does.
So, yeah. We're batting 50% on that because somebody else doesn't. Boston College had 18 players out for the Louisville game. Not questionable, not probable, not maybe, not whatever. Ruled out with injury. So who knows what Boston College is gonna offer Notre Dame this weekend. Alumni Stadium, 3:30 start, ESPN. Jackson, what are you looking forward to?
Nothing. I mean,
you have no idea.
It's just going to be nice to see Notre Dame kind of in action again, I guess, after an off week, but there's not... Is there anything we can learn from this game about Notre Dame?
Only if they lose.
Yeah, is there anything positive, besides some catastrophic, something bad, injury, anything like that?
Yes. Let's go with the one question. I just switched the one question because we're all over the place. We're all over the map of this week with this pod. So why not be all over the place with the one question? The question is, when you talk about learning something, what's the one area of this football program that needs to be better these final 5 weeks of the season for Notre Dame to finish 10-2? Off the top of your head, giving you no prep time whatsoever.
Let's just do pass defense. That's an area that, when in doubt, they've struggled with, but I think against bad quarterbacks, they've been better against. I'll just pick that off the top of my head.
There you go.
Red zone.
Red zone offense. That was going to be my answer to the question that I thought of about 20 minutes before the show.
Short yardage in general, but red zone. And it's so weird because, I think it was going into the Arkansas game maybe, where on the Thursday Zoom, my question, this is always the kiss of death, was to Marcus Freeman, was, what has gone into you being in the top 12 nationally in red zone offense. And of course, any coach you ask about something that's going well, they're gonna tread lightly because all you're doing is jinxing yourself. And they were still good in that game, but then somehow it's gone sideways, and that's and big part of that is CJ Carr, who I'm sure we'll talk about some later. But coming off this bye week, 4.5 tomato cans lined up the rest of the way.
Navy is the half a tomato can.
Pitt could you say it. Pitt's got that child quarterback as well, and he's pretty good. And they're at home, but that's he had two regrettable throws that were almost identical as he was falling out of bounds to his right down in the red zone, and those were picks. And he only has 4 this year, but 2 of them are as bad as they get, and he has to stop that.
Red zone offense, Notre Dame is 108th in the country, currently at 77.8%. They're not scoring touchdowns. And if they don't score a touchdown, are we confident that they're going to be able to kick a field goal?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good one.
Right?
Because that's the one where
that does lead that's like 1A for red zone offense, because not only are you not getting the job done in the red zone, you're going to put it on the foot of a field goal kicker that may or may not still have a hip injury.
Also, I mean, and you just want to do kicking in general. I mean, we saw Eric Schmidt kick 2 balls out of bounds on kickoffs against.
Can't have it, Jackson.
Against USC, it's like just kicking in general seems kind of
not the punting though. The punting's
good.
Well.
Punting's good.
James Rendell has got it under control. But yeah, isn't it amazing that so it was tossed out there on Twitter. I guess I said that it hasn't really. It's not a serious
You're quoting
topic.
yourself now.
I'm not quoting myself. One learned observer thought maybe it'd be a good time during the bye week to go over to the soccer practice. I think we said it here.
We did.
As well.
We did.
I've done it twice, and now I'm quoting it. So, but I guess that didn't happen, unless maybe we'll be shocked. And there's Brandon Aubrey's nephew out there, our younger brother. But it's hard. It really strains the imagination that a power team like this, national runner-up last year, and a serious contender to win it, could be in a scenario, and the fans are just they have the rosaries out. Don't let it come down to a field goal. Don't have to experience the Florida State pain of wide right back in the day, because you really can't have much faith at all. Though Noah Burnett, maybe the thing to do is just don't have Noah Burnett kick in a game until like Stanford. Just let other guys
put him on a shelf.
Marcello and Eric
Schmidt,
and if the whole thing is about the hip, and at North Carolina he was pretty good. He just wears down. He won a game at Minnesota with a 50-yarder. Just let him chill for a while. You really shouldn't need him on these, but he's going to have to prove it in a real game before you get to the college football playoff, if that's where things are going.
So we have the red zone offense is an issue, kicking game is an issue, and now for the second straight game, Notre Dame will be without a starting offensive lineman. Billy Strouth will be sidelined indefinitely, probably, with a left knee injury, not surgery or not a tendon issue. Sounds more like a kneecap issue.
If it's an MCL, right?
MCL.
You're hearing patellar? I thought it was MCL.
Where's the doctor? Jackson.
Medial.
I skipped that.
Dr. Neill.
I skipped that class.
I'm calling Dr. Neill.
Well, if it's MCL, that's roughly what Jeremiah Love had last year at USC, and 3 weeks later against Indiana, he was running 98 yards. So
and then did nothing else besides run the 2-yard touchdown run against Penn State.
Yeah, he did. He and of course by Ohio State, he really wasn't very usable. He was just on a 2-point conversion and I think 4 total touches. But Billy Strouth is going. No national title, no run back to the title game without your best road grader at left guard. He's going to come back, and the good thing is he went through a scenario last year where he actually had the tightrope surgery after the Purdue game. Took him till the Navy game to come back, and then he was his usual self for the most part the rest of the way. So he knows what it's like to take a break for rehab in the middle of a season that might go on for 4 or 5 weeks. It really might take until the first round game of a playoff.
So Billy Shroud out at left guard, Sullivan Absher in at left guard. He was a right guard, started the second half of the Miami game at right guard, and the staff decided, you know what, we're gonna go with Gerby Lambert there. Sullivan Absher left guard, new starting left guard, gonna make his first career start at left guard. Joe Otting makes his first career start at center against USC.
Jotter.
Didn't do half what?
Jotter. That's what Shrouth calls him. Jotter.
We didn't get to Jotter. We didn't get to the Jotter question last night.
You didn't address him as Jotter?
I did not. He was a very pleasant interview on Tuesday night.
He was. Do you think he's gonna? Do you think he can? I don't know. We already said the A word. Gee, I'm reticent to say what I said to him, but I wondered if he has it in him.
Don't say the F word.
He's so respectable. Can I use the initials that I used? But he's so respectable and respectful and just genial. And it strikes me that it's the center usually who does the pregame.
Oh, I know.
Screaming and the thing that Pat Coogan made so famous, but Zeke Carell and the guys all before him did it. This year, apparently, it's been Shrouth, or at least it was Shrouth before the USC game, because Ashton Craig also very, very genial, respectful. I guess Billy is too, but Billy had it in him to get all worked up. And now, somebody they have. I'm not so worried about their ability to block Boston College on those three interior spots. I'm wondering who's got the anger, the requisite anger, and to do that pregame thing that somebody always gets to video and put out there. And that's what the fans want to know. And it sounds like it's an open question. I said, well, maybe Shrouth should just do it, on crutches. But because he does it well.
They're day-to-day when it comes to that.
They've got to figure that out. That's a big
baby.
one. That's how you get your...
Get your what?
You get your inner, you get a peak intensity for the lineman. Just for the lineman.
Jackson, I can read it on your face. You know what you need?
What do you need?
You want me to go through the series history of Boston College. So,
I've been waiting for it.
I know. I can tell. I can just tell over there. Notre Dame leads
1993.
We weren't going to mention 1993.
That's all I can think about. David Gordon.
Jackson, what happened in 1993?
Doug Flutie.
Whoa! All right, you better educate him. Get him up to speed.
Notre Dame was this close to playing for a national championship the week after they played Florida State in the game of the century. They had a huge comeback. Notre Dame Stadium, the press box, I covered that game in the old stadium. The old press box literally was shaking as they came back. They were down like 17 or something. And Kevin McDougal, I know Lake Dawson caught a touchdown pass. Somebody else did. And all of a sudden the place is shaking. It's like, oh, my God, Notre Dame's going to win this, and they're going to be number one. And then they give up. Special teams lets them down on the ensuing kickoff when they took the lead. The defense lets them down.
Glenn Foley to Pete Kendall over and over, right?
Pete Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you.
Pete Mitchell.
You sure?
Pete Mitchell, yeah.
Who am I thinking of Pete Kendall? He's another
Pete Kendall's a guard. I think he was a Boston College.
Pete Mitchell, thank you.
Pete Mitchell was my guy. I talked to Pete Mitchell after that game, as a matter of fact. So they go down, they kick the field goal, and it was just absolute dead silent afterward when you were walking down from the press box to the interview area, because they basically lost a national championship in 1993.
They still feel that because they had beaten Florida State that they should have had a chance to go on and play Nebraska instead of Florida State. But then I referenced Wide Right earlier. That was the year that finally got Bobby Bowden the first national title, first of just two. And should have been many.
Should have.
But they had kicker problems through the years with various people. But, yeah, that's epic. How many times has BC beaten Notre Dame since then?
3?
I don't know. You read the notes?
I don't think it's in the notes.
I was looking through the notes real quick. I'm like, I don't think I've.
I'm gonna go see
series
right
history.
Series history. Let's see.
This is a 29-point favorite, and we're treating them like they're an 80-point underdog. And
well, there was a time.
Charlie Weiss years, they probably lost a couple.
There was a time when Boston College beat Notre Dame 6 consecutive years.
Wow.
Really? 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2007, 2008.
Matt Ryan for a couple of those, right?
It was Matt Ryan. Matt
Matty
Ryan
Ice.
was really good.
Matty Ice, yeah.
He's terrible on TV.
He is.
Wow.
Just terrible.
So wait, so that's 8.
Who's worse, Matty Ice or Grant Hill on basketball? Who's worse?
I don't know.
Because they
thought
both should be good ball players.
Where's that in the notes?
So bland.
Mike, you didn't send them the notes.
They've beaten Boston College has beaten Notre Dame 8 times since 1993. The Irish lead the all-time series 18-9-0, 6-4 in Chestnut Hill. They've won 9 in a row since they last lost to Boston College, 17-0. That was another Charlie Weiss special, I believe. Notre Dame has scored at least 40 points in each of the last 4 meetings, including the last meeting in 2022. They rolled to a 44-0 victory that was consequential. Why?
Snow.
We barely were able to see the field that day.
Boy, that was fun to try to watch.
Were you here yet?
I was not here. I came in.
Where were you in 2022?
I was in upstate New York. So
Watching Temple?
I was in upstate New York. I was probably covering Syracuse or somebody that weekend. So probably had my deal with my own snow.
So the snow was so bad, like early in the second half, you could barely see the field, and then it was literally a whiteout for like 15 minutes.
Jeez.
In the press box. Last meeting at BC, it was 2020. Notre Dame wins 45-31. And I think that's all we have to say about Boston College, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to talk about Bill O'Brien a bit. Because,
Okay, let's talk about Bill O'Brien.
Yeah,
What do you got?
Bill
Bill O'Brien stories?
He made, just a couple things that just strike me that he seems like a straight shooter, and he's a former NFL coach and an assistant to Belichick on championship Patriots team, and even their greatest team that didn't win the championship. But this fella then went on to Penn State, of course had to follow all that embarrassment and righted the ship. Everything that James Franklin was able to do first, Bill O'Brien had to clean it up. And then the other thing that's weird about Bill O'Brien to me, or 2 other little factoids, he left to do this Boston College job after he had the job in the offseason for a couple of months as Ohio State's offensive coordinator. Last year, he was supposed to be Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. And the cycle, because BC fired Jeff Hafley, they went looking for a coach.
Did they fire Hafley?
Or he left. He left on his own.
He was just like, I'm done.
He was like, I don't think this is working. That's right. He went back to the NFL as like a DC or
He's
something.
the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay
Packers with LaFleur.
Yep.
And so Bill O'Brien Hafley sets it in motion, and then O'Brien bolts Ohio State, ready-made championship team, to go be a head coach again. Thinks, I'll fix it. I'll be back up there. And then Chip Kelly quits as UCLA head coach, comes to Ohio State, and then 16 games later, Notre Dame is playing that Ohio State offense, and really hard to stop them. So I think you could say Jeff Hafley, I'm going to just say
and
this.
You will.
Jeff, it's not an absurd statement that that's how you say the man's name, Hafley?
Yeah.
Jeff Hafley may have cost Notre Dame the 2024 national championship, because I don't think Bill O'Brien calling the plays anywhere near as creative as Chip Kelly was. That was a beast for Al Golden to go up against.
How creative do you need to do?
I'm blaming Hafley.
And you're going to say the same thing, aren't you?
I'm going to say, how creative do you need to be for Jeremiah Smith to just run downfield?
When you got Jeremiah Smith and Quinshon Judkins, get those 2 guys the ball, and you'll take your chances. With anybody else.
I think I don't think you need to be too creative.
Ibuka.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be that creative.
You don't.
Well, check his work at Alabama when he was with Saban in 21-22. Check that work. Check out the Texans used to play. Traditional underachievers.
That 21 Bama team was incredible.
Yeah. And then, anyway, I just think that Jeff, I'm blaming Hafley. I just feel I'd rather go up against a Bill O'Brien-led offense than they make a good point that they had the pieces. But Chip Kelly, when put in that role, was pretty darn good. So, the other thing about Bill O'Brien is every time I watch him, which I tried, I don't really watch a lot of his press conferences, but this week I caught one. And doesn't he always strike you as like Bill Belichick's? He looks just enough like Belichick that he's so boring.
Bill Belichick's younger brother.
Yeah, he's like Bill Belichick's kinder brother. Just a kinder, gentler, less qualified, because he was around him so much. So you take on some of the mannerisms, and he's got that Boston accent though, So he's got quite a mess on his hands. All of a sudden, he couldn't keep his quarterback. They lost the quarterback to Florida State, and then he got hurt. He was very good, and
that would be Tommy Castellanos.
Yes, thank you. And they got a decent guy, but he's very young now. And this is the other thing I want to point out. I did research something, in particular besides Bill O'Brien's history and such. They have something at Ohio State that they call, at BC, called BC Experiences, where athletes and fans connect. It's right there on the website. I'm looking at the roster, and then they have a little tab for NIL opportunities. I'm like, well, this is cool. I don't see that at Notre Dame, but somehow
Miami has that too.
Yeah.
There's some
State.
Can't you click on some rosters and you could give money to players?
Yes.
I've seen that.
So I was trying to see a little more like who's how are they doing on that? What's it cost? Notre Dame fans who may be making this trip to Boston College and listening to us, they might want to get in on this. This is kind of cool. For $100, you get to do something called. For $100, they have halftime fan
kick
tunnel
a field goal?
You can kick a field goal for Notre Dame for $25. Halftime on-field fan tunnel VIP moment. And here it is. Be a part of the halftime thing. One person per ticket, costs $100. Get ready to take the field with the halftime fan tunnel experience, where you'll help welcome the Eagles back to action after the break, trailing 48-0. Guests will meet a Boston College representative in the concourse with 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, so you'll miss Notre Dame's last 2 touchdowns. All participants will receive a credentialed granting field access for the, I guess that's pronounced credentialed. Well, that's wrong, but anyway, they'll be on the field. And
what is going on,
I think back to last year at USC, they had something like that.
Yes.
Right? How did that go? Where they had the fans on the field? Did you notice?
That never goes well.
Fans on the field,
Fans
tunnel.
on the field during the game.
Yep.
Either they're doing something crazy, or it just doesn't.
$100. That's where they're at in BC right now. For $100, you get on the field.
I know what Mike's doing this weekend.
Right? I'm so tempted to get down there. And
Mike's going to send something back. His expense account is going to have some $100 fee on it.
To the Boston College NIL fund.
Yeah. What a video I could capture of the BC Eagles coming back out. They're probably just going to be jogging back out because all indications are it's going to be a tough spot for them.
It's going to be a very tough spot. Is it going to be a tough spot for Notre Dame? Notre Dame's coming off its off week. I will not use the word bye on bye week. They've won 5 in a row.
Marcus Freeman called it a bye.
Yeah, he did. They won 5 in a row. They've got 5 games left. What's the biggest concern coming back out of an off week for Notre Dame? Going on the road, playing a bad Boston College team, knowing this is step 1 of 5 more steps to get to 10-2. What would be the biggest concern of this game, Jackson?
I think the biggest concern is just, okay, so if they're going to go and win out, it's not really this week. It's the Navy and Pitt weeks are really the weeks.
So you're already looking ahead. You're like,
you're
so dangerous.
You're looking ahead already. You're just thinking to yourself, okay, like I'm thinking of Navy could be ranked when they come in. Maybe not if they lose to North Texas, but they could be a ranked rivalry game. Then Pitt, they have like a pretty solid team in the ACC. You have to go on the road there. So that's my biggest concern if I'm Notre Dame is just you look ahead. All of a sudden for Boston College, they're like, our season, they don't really have any, they're not going to a bowl game at this point. Why not? Just put everything they have into this football game. That's your biggest concern. But even then, even if Notre Dame is asleep for the first 3 quarters of this football game, they're just so much more talented than Boston College that they can kind of overcome pretty much anything.
I'd like to talk about, Tom and I talked about this last night. We're waiting to go into interviews. But I'd like to talk about the decision that Bill O'Brien, Bill Belichick Light, made on facing 4th and 8 from the BC 44, 3 minutes to go, 2:59 to go, down 31-24 to Louisville, ranked team on the road. What would Notre Dame have done there? They would have gone for it with a conventional play there because you just know they've got to retain possession. They did have 3 timeouts. They went ahead and punted it away. You're BC, you're brutal. You have nothing going, You punt it away, and of course Louisville went down and scored in 5 plays, and it becomes a 2-score game. But that's pathetic. And Bill O'Brien did not like being asked about it. It seemed afterwards he defended it. He thought it was the right move, and he hates his defense. In a 6-minute post-game interview from Louisville, he openly was ripping his defense, and he said, "We have to score because we're not stopping anybody." And they gave up 3 exceedingly long touchdown runs, like 63, 70, and 75 in that game, and it's going to be a track meet as long as Notre Dame holds on to the ball. Love and Price just running at will, unless those fans actually suit up. The $100 fan thing, I don't know.
A hog tie, it grabs Jeremiah Love's helmet at halftime and runs off with it.
It just doesn't seem like a good spot for BC. They're playing out the string. They're injured. You said they had 18 guys out. It's an absolute mess.
And also, too, if anyone's a BC person, like, next week is their red bandana game.
Yes.
And that's the game they circle. That
Who do
is
they play?
They play SMU, who I don't think is really gettable for this BC team. But like, if you're going to talk about Boston College, like the game on their schedule every year, they you never kind of want to play them in because they'll treat it like the Super Bowl, is the red bandana game. So maybe playing them the week before helps Notre Dame. But like, again, this is we mentioned it earlier, 28.5, 29-point favorite the Irish are this week.
So Notre Dame runs for 306 yards last time out against USC. They roll up 442 yards, win 34-24. Feels like that game was 2 months ago, not 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love, yeah, he had a pretty good night. 24 rushes, 228 yards, most yards ever by a Notre Dame player in Notre Dame Stadium, which was ridiculous to even think of that he set that record. Marcus Freeman going into that USC game said they needed a bloody physical game. I think they got it, right?
I think they did. Jeremiah Love, especially the thing that was the craziest to me was after the plays, he was getting in defenders' faces. Like that was
he was up talking to everybody.
I've never seen him like that. I think in any game that I've seen him play, he took those words to heart, being bloody and physical.
Mike's got his flip card.
Well, I just want to remember the Jerry Magianis was the referee of a group that could not miss a single potential pass interference, but had no concept that unsportsmanlike conduct. Throw it both ways. They lost control of that game early. What you're talking about was unsightly. It could have led to a brawl after the game.
Was there a brawl after the game?
It didn't. No, apparently everybody was smiling when they went over to talk to Kennedy Urlacher. But that was a text. I mean, that's last time they're going to see each other potentially for a while. And there were so many opportunities for when this jawing after the play. That's classic unsport. And then Jeremiah Love, very fortunate down on the goal line before the car interception, where he just hauled off and popped the guy right in the face. And T. Jones, I had to look up, the center judge was standing right there, saw the whole thing, and he went and counseled Jeremiah. Notre Dame very fortunate that it was counseling instead of flag and then counsel, reminiscent of Bo Collins with the shove down at Texas A&M last year, or Riley Mills at USC punching the guy and no flag. And sometimes you're just lucky. You're just lucky. Or I for the life of me, I don't know how there was not a single unsportsmanlike any personal fouls called in that game, because yes, it seemed like almost every other play was serious woof city.
Jeremiah Love runs.
I'd stop doing that, by the way, if I were them. I would just stop
woofing.
Stop. Well, yes.
Somebody's gonna. They're eventually gonna. It's eventually somebody's gonna get a penalty, and then that's when Marcus Freeman is gonna say, "Stop beating Notre Dame."
Yes,
and just
they know that. That's why they have their.
But do they? I mean, as you get deeper into the season and you start stacking the wins, you kind of forget about that stuff.
Yeah,
and
they need a reminder.
You're getting full of yourself and being like, yeah, we got this. But Jeremiah Love, 228 yards against USC, so he's run for 758 already this season, averaging 6.2 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. Is this Heisman push too much, too late for him, Jackson?
I think so.
Like he needed to have the 228-yard game against Miami
or A&M. Like he needed. I think. I mean, maybe where's the Heisman moment going to kind of come? And I know this season there's not really a clear defined Heisman like front runner completely, but still someone like Fernando Mendoza is just going to be ahead of him. Like at this, unless he puts up some crazy, unless he rushes for 228 yards in every single game going forward for the rest of the season, I just see it kind of coming down probably to Fernando Mendoza versus Julian Sayin in the Big Ten championship, and that's probably going to decide the Heisman. I just don't see someone really running away with it this year.
Because you know why? For better, for worse, and I believe it's worse. The Heisman is just a quarterback. It's a quarterback award.
Kind of. I think
Always.
It wasn't last year.
No,
Travis Hunter got in
Devonta
there
Smith
with the,
won it recently.
Yeah.
You know, there's been some guys.
Last running back was Mark Ingram, right? Is that right? No, it was Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry
last
you
one.
You can win it. It is harder, I will say, but I think that the way the schedule played out, it helps Notre Dame for playoff chances. It hurts them for Heisman kind of contention because you want those Heisman moments later in the season when voters will remember it. And as of right now, it's still gonna,
I think he can average very close to 200 a game the rest of the way if they want him to.
Exactly.
But if they want him to.
Do you want to have Jeremiah Love have a push for the Heisman where he's running for almost 200 yards a game, or taper that back to have him run for 150 in a possible playoff game?
I think we'll know a lot more about this, whether the Heisman is even remotely possible, and I think USC put it back in our minds. He's going on doing interviews talking about it was a good question about his what would be his Heisman elevator pitch. USA Today, our cohorts did that for the win, and he said something like, I would mention that I'm unselfish, I'm a good teammate, and I block and I do these other things, and I'm happy for my teammates. Not all about me. Ashton Genty, I don't know what he's like as a person. He sounded like a good guy. He had all the numbers you could ask for, and he still couldn't win it. He finished second last year, more than 2,000 yards. But Love could get north of 1,500, and then you play these other things like the season that could have gone off the rails, held together by great teammates and leadership, et cetera. He's not a team captain, but he certainly acts like one. And the whole Love Price thing, it's almost a way to vote. You're almost voting for the best combo in the country because you can't give it to both. But you're saying this was a game-changing, memorable combination. And what a great message they put out there every time they're in front of a camera. Either one, that it's not about them. They're happy for each other. A lot of joy. I'd keep playing the joy card if I were Jeremiah, and I think it's legitimate. I don't think he's over there ruminating for more carries. And I think he's going to be real efficient. And I think after this week, if he goes over 1,000 yards, I think he can go over 1,000 yards at BC. He can. What's he need? Like 240?
242.
Possible. They're terrible. It can't stop anybody. If they give him enough carries and he breaks off a couple 70-yard runs, he could have that in 3 quarters. And then we'll
he may get
reassess.
100 yards at halftime, and you may not see him again.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what
should happen.
But do you think Notre Dame and more importantly the coaching staff would like him to remain in the Heisman conversation? Would that be something, or is that a distraction that you want put aside 5 games to go?
They would want him to remain in the conversation. I don't know if they would want him chasing Heisman numbers at this point.
That's right. And then some of that is, there's nothing there. Right. Don't be circling in the backfield trying to reverse field and lose 10 yards. When you start seeing that, that's a guy who's
chasing yards.
And put yourself over team. He has had several runs this year that were losses, but I didn't sense that they were trying to make something out of nothing. It wasn't there. The leaping, he seems to have calmed that down. I think that was a Heisman related initiative. He's calmed that down a little bit. And he can just run you over. He doesn't need to jump over. He can just run you over, truck you. And we'll just see. If he goes over 200 this week, I think it's still something to look at. It's going to be tough to do that against Navy, which is certainly just a different perspective, a different thing from both sides of the ball. They're going to do stuff to get in your head, but physically shouldn't be able to match up. And then Pitt, Syracuse, it's off the rails, and Stanford pretty much off the rails, although they are giving away an Andrew Luck bobblehead, which will bring out maybe another 1,000 people.
Okay, before we jump out of this segment, you mentioned it before when we went on the air. You wanted to talk about C.J. Carr. I'm going to look at the camera. I have no idea where this is going.
I did?
You did. You said you said we were going to talk about C.J. Carr.
Oh, it was just you want to know about the Tom Brady thing. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Gino Guidugli came in and said, well, two things. I have Joe Montana information and I have Tom Brady information. First of all, Joe Montana was at the USC game, and that was pretty cool. He was not made available in the back of the press box. Would have been nice, but
like they did with Manti Te'o.
That was great. I mean, when you have when these all-timers come in and they show them after the first quarter, how about 5 minutes? You know, an hour before the game. Would that kill anybody?
How about 10 minutes? Forget 5 minutes.
Yeah.
How about 15 minutes?
It does happen elsewhere. That sort of thing. But
15 minutes with Joe Montana, and everybody gets one question like they did with Manti Te'o, and it would go a long way.
Because they are getting a nice churn of the greats coming back.
Right.
So Joe Montana was there, and I wondered, I was just curious if CJ had a chance to talk to him then, or if he'd ever talked to him. And let's see how he said it. He did not. The answer is he did not get a chance. It was regrettable for him. And here's how he said, I didn't get to see him at all, which was disappointing, and he just left it there. And, after a big win like that, you'd think Joe, before he goes over to the linebacker and pours some more Guinness, he would have popped in there and shaking the hand of
Chivarelli
CJ.
Lounge?
Just give a little, go get him. It was a pleasure to meet you, whatever. Nothing. That was odd. And we also didn't get to talk to CJ Carr after the game. And one of the last acts on the field was him scoring a touchdown and getting popped at the goal line. So he came up his lineman had to take him and point him toward the sideline. So
that's never a good thing.
Yeah, so clearly if he came in and talked to us here, he's good to go. He's going to play this week. He's cleared any concerns, but he might have been just a little woozy after that game. Then the other thing was Gino Guidugli, the quarterback's coach, said when he came in about a month ago, I was asking if he'd ever put CJ on the phone with Desmond Ridder, since they both knew the same offense, or, Gino's got so much experience, Denbrock, with Desmond Ridder. He said, no, but we're talking about a guy who talks to Tom Brady. So it was brought up again last night to CJ, who answered everything else in full paragraphs pretty much. And he was asked about his relationship with Tom Brady. Gino had mentioned that, anything he could share. And he said, I'm going to pass on that one.
Didn't he say punt?
He said pass.
Did he say pass?
He did say pass. I heard pass. Went back on the tape. But you wonder, is it just a concern about, tampering? Is there any problem? Well, there's no problem with an NFL owner talking to an active player.
Broadcaster, too.
He's
in the coaching box, too.
Tom doesn't worry about any of that
owner.
stuff. There's really no logistical or like anything that would make the Raiders unable to draft him someday, right?
Who knows?
Yeah, so anyway, he didn't want to talk about it. And that's a Michigan guy, pretty obvious potential convo. Not surprised that he'd have him on speed dial, but maybe, just file that one away. Next time Tom comes over to a Notre Dame game, we'll get him in the back of the press box. We'll ask him.
No, we won't. All right, so that's 40 minutes down on a bad Boston College team. I think we did pretty well with that segment, right?
I think so.
Huh?
Yeah.
Boston College is still bad. I apologize for using that 3-letter word.
Edit it out.
We won't edit it out. It's in the dictionary. It's not a bad word, right? We'll come back. We'll see what
it's in the Bible.
We'll see what other words we can come up with here when we come back as we continue this edition of Pot of Gold with Boston College Week. We've hit the Speak Up segment of the show. We answer questions from readers, from listeners, from people who want to know what's going on. So the first question is from, he listed it as Robert Ovens. I'm going to go Robert Owens.
I like Ovens.
Let's go with the Ovens.
Too hot.
There we go. Too hot to handle.
The oven mitts. Gentlemen, is there any chance that Jadarian Price stays at Notre Dame for another year? He would be one of the top Heisman Trophy contenders and likely would make more money than an NFL rookie contract. What say you?
I was looking into this. He's not a projected first-round pick as of right now. Mm-hmm. He's the projected, I think according to Mel Kiper, he has him as the third running back in the draft class, which would put him at like a second or third round.
Somewhere around there?
Yeah, I was thinking from what I saw, in terms of it's tough right now because they don't do the full mocks, but I think ESPN had him around the 60 to 70th overall player. So that's late second round, early third round type of thing. And if that's the case, you're kind of right. You're making similar. You can make similar money in NIL, especially that first year, as opposed to maybe a couple year $5.5 million contract where you're making a little over $1 million a year or so. So I mean, the money would kind of make sense. The thing that I always get worried about with Price though is the injury that freshman season, and it's like it's an Achilles, and you could probably play yourself into the first round next year if it's just you, but I just hate taking that risk once you've had that injury history.
If he had not had that Achilles before his freshman year, maybe that would be a possibility. But again, you're talking about a shelf life for a running back in the NFL is how many, like 2-3 years tops?
Doesn't feel long.
And you need to hopefully do what Kyron Williams did. You get there, you get a chance, and then you get a really big payday. That doesn't happen with a lot of running backs in that league, but you've got the injury and the shelf life of running back. If he was a safety, yeah, you come back. Yeah. But running backs in the NFL, they recycle those. Your careers, you're in and out after maybe 2 or 3 years. But again, if he does stay, if he did stay, he'd be Jeremiah Love in 2026.
Well, keep in mind, I mean, you got to look at it like an NFL salary cap situation now in any college big-time program.
Dame, right.
This is Mike Martin's situation. He's got the grid. He's got the proprietary information. Who's getting paid in 2026? C.J. Carr, big payment, whatever that is. Leonard Moore, right there with him, big payment. Whatever your top of the scale is, those two are right there.
Offensive lineman, big payment.
Yes.
And I mean, you may just a few other things that Boubacar Traore might pass rush his way into big payment. So Tay Johnson, second year on a path to big payment. So and remember, like you just said, Tom, the NFL for a while now has realized you don't have to pay the backs.
Right. So
I believe they're paying Love this year properly, it would appear, and I think that Jadarian's doing fine. But he also, when I think back to the spring practice when I talked to him, when we got him, he mentioned that I said, are you on path to graduate here? He said, I should be done by December, and turned out he was done in May. They expedited it. He front loaded some things. And so he's already got his degree, and he also said, hopefully one more year here. So that, the idea was, going into 24, that this would be the last year. So that was what I took from it, was he already had an eye on the 26 NFL draft. And that makes sense for what Jackson said as well. When you already have one major surgery and rehab coming back from that, and he did make it all the way back, but he's never had the full load that he might be facing next year. If he's a second day pick, if the projection is second or third round, he's got to go.
Got to go.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Audric Estime was ever given that high of a grade. He always knew he was going to be third day, hopefully it'd be fourth round, and he had to wait. And it's not gone great. But there's just so much tread on the tires, and you just look around what Notre Dame's going to have to do to spread the money around with the retaining talent, and then whatever they do in the portal. And of course, they're going to go out and get the best kicker available.
You talk about spreading the money around, and you brought up one individual's name. Boubacar Traore has a decision to make. He's draft eligible.
And had to overcome an ACL.
And had an ACL.
Yes.
So and he's having a really good year where
he's a seven-figure guy next year.
He might jump up.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. That's true. And also, Adon Schuler will be a returning captain potentially, because he seems like he's been here forever, but it's just year 3.
The linebackers.
And Kingston.
Yep.
Kingston's going to play himself into that. Drake Bowen, if he decides to stay, he could go. More likely he'd stay another year. I don't know. It's hard to say. But that's the math that has to go on. And if you're going to come at it with an NFL perspective, with a guy who spent the whole career in the NFL, Mike Martin, who's done wonders over there and making sure that they shopped wisely in the portal, and they did for the most part. Need to get a few guys on the field more, and then making sure that everybody seems to be pretty happy. You don't get a sense that anybody's walking around feeling like they're being taken advantage of. But we don't have those conversations. But it's just just based on people who have been here in the past who let it be known by very short answers in media opportunities that they were not pleased with their status. We're not experiencing that this year.
Point any finger? You mention
No,
any names?
no, I'm
over
not.
there?
No, I'm not. A couple of guys did that, but we're getting a couple of guys on the defensive side, as I recall. But generally, this year everybody's just going along. I mean, you can always tell if a team's on the right path by how much they regurgitate the catchphrases of the coach, and we're hearing all of them regularly, and they should, because they were 0-2 against real good teams, and they righted the ship.
But everybody should be happy this year because everybody's getting paid for the first time.
First time.
Next year will be the year where we'll have conversations with guys who may not be happy because they'll have to pay other people more, and they may have to pay people who are making X amount of dollars this year less next season to meet the payroll. So you don't know.
A first ever potential pay cut.
They're going to take pay. Guys are going to take pay cuts.
Yeah.
Or they're going to leave. Like you've got. That's how.
Wow.
You've got to. You've got to balance that.
Yeah, that is
right.
Now the portal. What they do with the portal? They moved it up to one time.
One time in the beginning of January.
Early January, so you don't get to
January
hang around
2nd?
to spring. You don't get to hang around. You don't get the benefit of where am I in spring ball?
No, you don't get
get that benefit.
Nope.
So there'll be a lot of leaps of faith, and that's when Spindler and Pendleton and Coogan, most painfully now, moved on and cashed in. But it's a tough job. One of the biggest people they're going to need to retain going up once the season's over and through this NFL hiring cycle is going to be Mike Martin, because he's a guy who's his stock has risen in doing something that had never been done in quite this way. He's not doing it by dressing up in a leprechaun costume. He's doing it by running it as an NFL GM would, and that's tough, like you say, to keep everybody on board.
James in Whiteland, Indiana, wants to know if LSU is interested in hiring Marcus Freeman. Would Marcus Freeman take that job?
I don't think so. LSU is one of the 3 best jobs in the country. I just don't see. I feel like Marcus Freeman, everything we've always heard is like the only other college job he'd really be interested in would be probably Ohio State. And then other than that, it's kind of NFL. I think that's what we've always kind of heard. And even though I think you can win bigger at LSU than you can at Notre Dame, I think at this point right now, it would take a lot of work to get LSU to that point, whereas he already has Notre Dame running in the way he wants it to be run. They went to the national championship last year. That would not be a smart move right now.
Going back to the conversation that some of us had with Pete Bavacqua in the summertime when he said, look, I sat down with Marcus Freeman, with Ron Paulus, and Mike Martin and said, what else do you need to challenge seriously to win a national championship right now, this season? What can I do for you? Is it staff? Is it this? Is it that? And all 3 of them came back and said nothing, which means the Notre Dame job is way different than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where you had to go to a place like LSU or Ohio State or Alabama or whatever to win a national championship. But Marcus Freeman has shown at Notre Dame, Curt Cignetti has shown at Indiana, that you can go to these places and be a serious national championship contender and not have to go to a blue blood school where it's LSU or somewhere in the SEC where, you know what, it just means more. It means more at a lot of places now than what it did 5 years ago. So in that regard, I think Marcus Freeman's a guy where he's put his stamp on this program in such a short time. You go to LSU, and it's just going to be, everybody's going to be like, that's great. Marcus Freeman's here. He's 39 years old. He's 40 years old. He's whatever. When are you going to get us our national championship? He's good at where he's at now. So it's been popular. Penn State opens. Marcus Freeman's name comes up. Florida opens. Marcus Freeman's name comes up. LSU opened this week. Marcus Freeman's name comes up. I just think he's the hot hire, but at the end of the day, he's doing exactly what he wants, where he wants. He's at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and even Ohio State is the alma mater, but with each passing year, that's way back there. And Jim Tressel's not walking through that door to say, "Come succeed me." He's lieutenant governor
handpicking my successor
of Ohio, and Ross Bjork. Well, it's not Gene Smith anymore. Remember, Marcus Freeman once upon a time interned under Gene Smith to learn how to be an athletic official, athletic department, future AD. He was more curious about that initially, and Gene Smith was his mentor. Well, he retired, and so it's a different AD, different school president. I'm not even sure how many people, behind the scenes are still around that he would remember. Ohio State would certainly have the ability to pay at the very top of any scale. Well, Notre Dame can pretty much challenge that scale. That scale keeps going up now. That Kurt Signetti, continues to. That scale keeps going up. Marcus Freeman now, if the reports were correct, is roughly underpaid at this point. He'd do another bump. If they get to the playoffs.
And he'll get a bump, right?
He should get a bump if he goes to the playoff. But then even when they like to say, and I kind of thought about this on the ride over, how many NFL teams, if the Bears who initially drafted him, of course, have keep changing, but Kevin Warren over there, Notre Dame law, couldn't entice him. How many NFL situations would even pique his interest? So many broken situations. It's not about the money, although Andy Reid's pushed that scale all the way to $20 million a year. So let's say somebody comes along, you don't know. It's an unknown world.
It is.
But I could see the two that popped into my mind. He grew up rooting for the Bengals, but that's a broken situation. You don't go there.
You can't work for the Brown family.
When Mike Tomlin finally runs out of cards there in Pittsburgh, and he really should have already, even though he won him a Super Bowl. But you talk about stability.
Yeah, that's
you're at that family. As long as there's a living Rooney, and a place that it was Noel, it was Cowher, it's Tomlin, and that takes you through 60 years.
Yeah.
That's a place that if there's a Steeler opening someday, it's almost like his tough decision will be determined by when the Steelers go looking finally, maybe when the Ravens go looking. You're like, oh, hello, Kyle Hamilton.
Might be
Good
sooner than later.
That's
right.
the way
Yes.
that season's going.
Yes,
yeah.
John Harbaugh.
It might just be time for John Harbaugh.
Yes. So, there's just, the Eagles, if somehow that ever popped open, it has to be a place where it would make some sense. Even like, the Chiefs, Andy Reid's not going to do it forever. Whoever is asked to succeed him going to be handed Patrick Mahomes for another however many years. But that, they talk about pressure. So I don't see him going to any turnaround situation.
Nor should he. Like he's.
You don't go to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care how much they pay you. Broken situation.
Especially with a turnaround situation or bad ownership, whether it's the Miami Dolphins or the Charlotte Panthers or the Titans. Like if you're going to leave a job like Notre Dame, and you're going to look at the NFL, and there's been no indication that Marcus Freeman has any desire whatsoever to even look at the NFL. 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road, who knows? Maybe that changes. But you go to the most stable franchise you can go to if you're going to make that move. You don't just go take a job just to take it. Like, my heartstrings are with the Cincinnati Bengals. No, you don't want to. You don't want to do the Bengals, the Browns, even the Bears. I mean, those are bad ownership situations where he's good at Notre Dame. Just hang out here and see if he can win a national championship.
And I think,
then when you win a
once
national
you do,
championship,
then you
everything's
consider
open.
it. But get the statue.
Yeah,
exactly.
Get your statue.
Yeah.
You're so close. Get the statue and then entertain it. The only thing that I could see would front load it is one of those super stable situations with a tradition of championships.
And I completely agree. And I think for Marcus Freeman, he's, the average coach would just say, I want to win as many national titles as I want, but there is something to being the Notre Dame coach who brings a national title back here to South Bend.
Everything. It's everything.
It's everything.
Seriously,
it's like if you're the head coach for the New York Knicks and you win that NBA championship, like that is worth like 5 NBA titles basically. Like that one national title is worth way more than just one national title. So I completely agree, and I think Freeman is the type of guy that like realizes that and actually cares about that, and he's just so close. And I love the Steelers idea, Mike. I think that fits perfectly. But you get the title if he can get the title at Notre Dame. Then
that's
I think
the ideal flow of events.
Yeah. Then I think everything opens up. But like, man, if you're the guy that delivers the championship, to Notre Dame, or you're the guy that breaks the streak for the Chicago Cubs. If you're like, it's one of those jobs in sports, and one of those you could become historic.
He could be the Joe Madden of Notre Dame.
He could.
Where's his statue?
Exactly.
They're working on it.
Like there's certain people in sports history, for coaches that can win those titles, and that would be one of them.
All right, we're running late. Guess what time it is?
Pot of bold.
Pot of bold time. Let's go. Last segment of the show against a very bad Boston College team. You guys give me one bold statement and then a prediction for this game. Who wants to start?
I'm ready.
Look at you.
Notre Dame 52, Boston College 3.
Oh, my God. Really?
Giving them 3.
Oh man.
Oh, my God.
Jeremiah Love goes over 1,000 yards this week.
Whoa. Okay.
248 yards rushing?
At least. He might get 300. They can't stop us.
Whoa. Us.
We could pick up a 3rd and 3.
I mean, you could be Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, Mike.
Just ball security.
$100 to get on the
Larry
field, we can do
Zonka.
it.
Jackson, what do you got?
I got C.J. Carr throws 4 touchdowns in the first half. I think he was kind of, I think he was missing some throws against USC, tough weather conditions. I think the coaching staff wants to kind of get him back on a roll. This Boston College defense, as you mentioned, is terrible. There's a bunch of touchdowns in the first half, and they win 56-10.
You're both going over 50?
Yeah, like
Good weather.
Yeah, I don't.
Holy cow! I thought I was being generous with my prediction, which I forget.
They got to impress that committee. It's the first committee. Next week we'll get to talk about the committee.
They need style points.
My bold prediction for the first time this season, and it's staggering that we're sitting here on October 29th to say that, but Eli Reardon is going to catch a touchdown pass.
Oh,
First one of the year.
that's yeah, he hasn't had one yet. That's crazy.
And I was going to go Notre Dame 49, Boston College 13. So that's it.
Good ball game.
We'll have you will be there.
Ball game.
He will be there. He will bring back Travels with Mike episode, a segment in our next episode where we will preview Navy. Trust me, we'll dive a little deeper into Navy than what we did against Boston College. But for Mike Berardino, for Jackson Neill, I'm Tom Noie. This has been the Pot of Gold.
This has been the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold podcast, your home for insightful Notre Dame football coverage and analysis.